Hello and welcome back to your Career Launcher IAS. And I'm here again with a very important video series that is important for your this year prelims exam. And the topic of today's video lecture is important military exercises that is conducted between India and other countries. Okay, so let's start this lecture. The first, we should know what type of military exercises. Okay, so in India, basically there are three categories of military exercises. We call the first one is called your domestic exercise, second one is called your bilateral exercise, and the third one is your multilateral exercise. Now, what is domestic? Domestic exercise is where only Indian Army is involved. Indian Army, maybe Indian Army involved, or maybe this exercise between Indian Army, Indian Navy, and Indian Air Force. Means none of the other foreign countries' military organization will be involved. So this is for a domestic exercise, and the main purpose of this domestic exercise is to strengthen our own country defense sector, to check the all the resources, all the weapons they are working properly or not, or whether they are prepared for any type of war in future. So this is type of exercise where only defense force of Indian is involved. This is called a domestic exercise. Second one is called your bilateral exercise. Bilateral means when two countries are involved. Okay, maybe these two countries are involved for a naval exercise, maybe for a air force exercise, or maybe for your army exercise. So when two countries are involved in such type of military exercise, is called bilateral exercise. And what is multilateral? Multilateral means when the more than two countries are involved in any type of military exercise. This is called a multilateral exercise. For example, we know Malabar exercise where four countries are involved. Okay, so let's discuss one by one each and every exercise in detail. Okay, so domestic exercise are, we already explained, is those exercise where uh, improve internal engagement. Main aim is to improve internal engagement, and there can be inter services, maybe like between army, air force, and navy, or intra services, maybe among the navies, among only the army forces, or among the air forces, depending on nature and its application. So there are some given examples of domestic exercises like Gandhi Vijay, Pashchim Lahar, Vayu Shakti, Vijay Prahar. These are called some domestic exercises that's conducted in India. Okay, and we'll discuss also the important exercises that was in news this year. The first we'll talk about Sea Vigil 2021. Now this Sea Vigil 2021 is a very good example of domestic exercise where Indian uh, forces, Indian coast guards are involved. So this is a one important inaugural edition of the exercise was conducted in January 2019. So since January 2019, this exercise is conducted in India. So it is billed as India's largest coastal defense drill. Remember, this is the important statement regarding a sea vigil exercise. Okay, so it is going to be conduct this year also, and being undertaken along the entire 7,516-kilometer coastline and exclusive economic zone of India. So remember, exclusive economic zone is 200 nautical miles from the coastal areas, okay, from the coastline. So this 200 nautical miles exclusive economic zone, territorial water, contiguous zone, this all type of water bodies, okay, decided by a under UNCLOS called a United Nations Convention Law of Seas. Now, it involves all the 13 coastal states and union territories, along with other maritime stakeholders, including fishing and coastal communities. So, it is a holistic exercise where all the communities are involved. Apart from Indian Navy, Coast Guard, Custom, and other maritime agency are participating in this exercise. Now, most important point is here we know this exercise is all about the defense of the entire coastal areas. So, Indian Air Force also engaged National Security Guard, Border Security Force, oil handling agencies, and airport also participate in the exercise. So remember, this is for your prelims point of view. This is important. Okay, now let's move to our next important exercise is called a exercise Desert Night 21. Now 21 indicate here that this exercise conducted in 2021. That's why it's called Desert Night 2021. Now this is an example of your bilateral exercise. Now this Indian Air Force exercise where Indian Air Force and French Air and Space Force will conduct a bilateral air exercise called Desert Night 21 at Air Force Station Jodhpur from 2024 Jan 2021. So this year, this exercise was conducted at Jodhpur station in Rajasthan. So the exercise is unique as it includes the fielding of Rafale aircraft by both sides. That's why this exercise is most important because Rafale aircraft was used from both the sides. And it is indicative of the growing interaction between the two premier air forces. So Desert Night exercise is between India and France. Apart from Desert Night, we have other three important exercises that is conducted between India and France. We have called Varun, that is called naval exercise, Garud called air exercise, and Shakti called a army exercise. So remember all four exercises between India and France called Desert Night, Varun, Garud, and Shakti. Okay. Now next important exercise is called Indo Corpat. Indo Corpat. This is again a bilateral exercise between we see the India and Thailand. So it is called Naval Exercise, Maritime Security. Okay, for that is start between India and Thailand, out Corpat along their international maritime boundary. Twice this is exercise happened twice a year since 2005. Since 2005, this exercise is started. It is in 2005 and it conducted twice a year. What is the main purpose? Main purpose of this exercise is to keep the part of Indian Ocean safe and secure. As you know, Indian Ocean is considered as a biggest sea route or global trade. Okay, that is happening from the Indian Ocean, and that's why it is very important to maintain security there, safe and security, so that commercial shipping and international trade can be done peacefully. Okay, second important aim is ensure effective implementation of the most important international law called United Nations Convention on Law of Sea. Now, other military exercises between India and Thailand are called exercise Maitri, that is between India armies of both the country, and exercise called Siam Bharat, that is Air Force. Means both the countries' Air Force engage in the such type of exercise. Okay, so remember the three important exercises between India and Thailand: exercise Maitri, Siam Bharat, and Indo Corpet. Okay, now next important exercise is your Sitmax 20. Okay, exercise Sitmax 20. So what is the meaning of what type of exercise Sitmax 20? Okay, we'll discuss here in detail. So this is called a multilateral exercise. Example of multilateral exercise where more than two countries are engaged. Now in this exercise, three countries like India, okay, India, Thailand, and Singapore. These three countries are engaged, and this is called trilateral naval exercise. Now, CITMEX series of exercises are conducted to enhance mutual interoperability and embedding best practices between Indian Navy, Republic of Singapore Navy, and Royal Thai Navy. Remember the three navy forces of countries India, Thailand, and Singapore. CITMEX 20. So, main aim of CITMEX exercise is to strengthen mutual confidence and develop common understanding and procedures towards enhancing the overall maritime security in the Indo-Pacific region. The exercise is lined with the India's saga called Security and Growth for All in the Region vision. Okay, other exercises between India and Singapore. We already have done India and Thailand in last slide. Now India and Singapore. What are the other exercises? Called Bold Kurukshetra. This is a army involved. Army of both the countries are involved. Called Bold Kurukshetra. Joint Military Training Air Force and Simbex called Navy. Okay, so this is the Navy Simbex where Singapore and Indian Navy both were involved. CITMEX 20 exercise. Okay, next important exercise is your passage exercise called PASSEX. This is also known as PASSEX. So this passage exercise. So Indian naval ship will join maritime patrol and other aircraft to participate in passage exercise or PASSEX with the U.S. Navy's Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group during its transit through Indian Ocean region. Okay, so this exercise is normally undertaken whenever opportunity arises, in contrast to pre-planned maritime drills. Okay, so this is passive exercise between not fixed between India and two countries, as India is engaged with US, also India engaged with Australia and Japanese Navy and French Navy. Okay, so this is a passive exercise is between India conducted with many countries like US, okay, with France, with Japanese Navy, and also with the Australian Navy. So maybe in exam they can give you this is exercise between India and US only. This will be not true because this is the exercise between Indian Navy along with Japanese Navy, Indian Navy along with the French Navy, and also with the US Navy, Australian Navy also imposed. Okay, this is called passage exercise or called passage. Next one is another important exercise between India and US are like Vraj Prahar. Okay, remember this exercise between India and US joint exercise called Vajra Prahar. This is called army exercise. Yudh Abhyas between army, COP India between air forces of the two countries. Red flag. It is called US multilateral air exercise. Then a Malabar exercise, trilateral naval exercise of India, US, and Japan. Now also Australia involved. So we'll discuss in detail about a Malabar exercise here. Okay. So another important exercise called Malabar exercise. This is exercise started off in 1992. Okay. So this exercise was started in 1992 as a bilateral naval exercise between India and US Navy. So in 2015, Japan joined the exercise Malabar, making it trilateral naval exercise. Remember the years. It was started in 1992. In 2015, Japan joined it. So it became a trilateral. In 2020, the Australian Navy joined the Malabar exercise, making it quadrilateral naval exercise. Earlier, Australia joined the exercise in 2007. So maybe in prelims they can ask you the year. In which year, which country joined this exercise? So in 2015, it was Japan joined, and in 2020, Australia joined, and it was started in 1992, where between the two countries, India and US navies. India and Japan Defense Forces organized a series of bilateral exercises, namely called GMAX, Shinyu Matri, and Dharam Guardian. Remember the name of the exercise between India and Japan. So India and Japan also have exercise called GMAX, Shinyu Matri, and Dharm Guardian. Another exercise called Pitch Black, very important for this year prelims. So Pitch Blacks is called biennial warfare exercise hosted by Royal Australian Air Force. So which of the following country hosted this exercise called Royal Australian Air Force? Okay. Now the exercise aims to practice offensive counter air and defensive counter air combat in a simulated war environment. Okay. So it provides a unique opportunity for exchange of knowledge and experience with this nation in a dynamic warfare environment. So basically, this pitch black is between India and Australia. India and Australia exercise. Okay, the next edition of Pitch Black is scheduled in 2022. Very important that next year this exercise will be conducted. And other exercise is called Aussie Index. Now, this is called a bilateral naval exercise between India and Australia. So remember all this exercise for this year plans. Maybe they can ask you question from this exercise. Okay, so see the video once again and note it down the important exercise between the countries. Okay, thank you to everyone.